Hello. I'm going to try to do this without giving myself a bloody nose this time. So I get a lot of questions in my box about circumcision. So I guess I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The question I have right now says, my friend tells me how a non-circumcised guy will be more prone to infections later in life, but I keep telling her that there is nothing wrong with keeping the foreskin. Would you explain the circumcision versus non-circumcision? I'm not going to explain circumcision versus non-circumcision, because I don't necessarily think one is better than the other. We don't want to alienate anybody, or make those who are circumcised feel bad about their bodies or anything like that. I will say that circumcision is a pointless practice. It was initially something that was popularized in America by, I believe his name was John. His first name was John. I know his last name is Kellogg because he was also the Kellogg cereal guy. And it was to prevent boys from masturbating. And then, like, from there it's kind of just become this aesthetic thing, and it's kind of like the norm now. Granted, like, circumcision rates are nowhere near as high as they were in, like, the 80s and the 90s. But it's still, like, the norm. Even for me, I had no idea what an uncircumcised penis looked like until I was 18 years old, and I became, like, obsessed and fascinated with them. This whole idea that is being perpetuated about men being, or male-bodied people being less prone to infection if they're circumcised is kind of bogus. I mean, sure, you'd be less likely to get, like, a UTI, probably. You can still get them, but you'd probably be less likely to get it. Chances are, if you would be getting one, you'd probably be getting it from a partner. UTIs aren't very common for men, or male-bodied people anyway. And your risk for contracting an STI might be a bit smaller, but I suppose the same would apply to female-bodied people, and you don't see us, like, going and lopping off labia or the clitoris or anything like that. I mean, I don't understand, like, why this one thing is acceptable because it's been normalized, but the idea of doing that to, like, the opposite gender or whatever is horrific. I think it's pretty horrific on either person. So, I mean, I think it makes a lot more sense to just educate your children or, like, youth or whatever, and just say, hey, let's talk about safe sex, instead of me, like, cutting parts of your body off. Because I think that seems like a great alternative. And a lot of people have this idea that circumcision is a painless procedure and all that stuff, and it's really not. Babies are born with nerve endings in their penis. They can feel it when it's cut, when their body is cut. They can feel it. That's why they react. That's why they scream. And granted, there is aesthetic use, but there's also the fact that, like, that aesthetic wears off, and babies pee a lot, and they get piss in their wounds, and it burns. I'm incredibly anti-circumcision. Super, super anti-circumcision. My son is not circumcised. If I would have any future children, they would not be, any future male-bodied children, they would not be circumcised. Circumcision is bullshit. And I know a lot of guys who are circumcised who wish they weren't. I know a number of guys who are regenerating their foreskin. And it's just so stupid. You're cutting off the most sensitive part of their penis. This part that's like full of nerve endings, and it's incredibly pleasurable, like part of your body to have, and you're just cutting it off because you're like, I'm doing you a favor because there's a chance that there's less of a chance that you'll get UTIs later on. There's less of a chance like that if you're being like unsafe sexually that you won't get like gonorrhea or whatever. It's a huge bummer. And a lot of people don't really think about it before they do it. It's just like, oh, this is what I'm being told to do, so I'm doing it. Yeah. Anyway, male or female bodied, people should not be having their genitals cut up. Fucking period. It's dumb.